Hi, and welcome to Export Kit. In this example, I'm going to demonstrate how to install the API and begin your first export. This will basically just show you how to test it and get started with it. So when we visit the site, what we're going to do is we're just going to simply go to API. That's the link, or you can visit exportkit.com/lightningstormcc. Well, to be specific, lightning-storm-cc. Now, if we scroll down a little bit, what you'll see is the getting started, and you'll see a download API sandbox link. You must be logged in to download, but in essence, you must be a customer to use. So you pretty much have to be a customer prior to using this. What this will allow is this will give you access to your current export with the API itself. So we're just going to begin by downloading the API script. Now you'll see here that we have a bunch of folders. We're just basically going to copy our examples in our source. So let's just have a folder we can drag it to for testing. So once we've done that now, it's pretty simple to begin testing the API. So we're going to start by taking a look at the code. We're going to look at the Hello World code first. Now, the simplest link to get started with the API is to simply add a script link within your head element in your HTML. Depending on your environment, you might want to load the the script file directly, but a lot of environments support HTML, which is where you can use this as a simplified method of loading the library. So we can take a look at the actual script file itself. If we go to source, you'll see here that we have, this is an unminified version, so you'll be able to take a look at the code itself. We'll review that in another video. So if we go back to our Hello World example, what this will do is, in essence, we're going to create a document map and we're going to assign it some basic information. So this is what we're doing here. This is just a description of our project. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a simple text layer, and you'll see that this is what we're doing here. And we're going to basically give it the contents hello world. So we're going to create a new text object. The contents are hello world. We're going to make it bold, italic. We're going to put the size as 20, and we're going to give it some bounds so it has some constraints within the screen itself. Now there are a couple of ways of rendering the API. This way in particular is the legacy method, where you create a separate request and a separate response, and then in essence what we're doing is we're logging the response. We're waiting for a load. We're waiting for the response to tell us on file if there's a particular error, and we could have also set some properties with the response for decoding the files, whether or not we were sending it to our server. So we're just going to drag this onto our console. Let's first start by opening our inspector, because we're going to need that. Let me just actually add this back into the screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's just simply drag our hello world onto the page. Okay, so what we're going to see here is we're going to see the log from our export using the API. So in essence, it created, well, basically two files. You'll see here hello world.html and hello world.css. We're going to demonstrate actually downloading these files to test afterwards, but this is just raw content from the actual API itself. So it will give you basically a full JSON content of the objects, or you can actually just take the content itself and decode it and also save it. So here you'll see that we do have the actual HTML for our page that was generated, and we have the CSS. Whoops. Okay, so that was the first basic way to get the actual export from the server using Hello World. So we're going to skip the external document because it's basically the same example, just using an external file. And we're going to jump directly to downloading the project files. So if we take a look at downloading project files, you'll note here that the only real difference is what we're doing is we're using the export class, because that allows us to download the files directly rather than rebuilding the files after export. So we'll be able to, in essence, just simply test it right away. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Let's drag this into our console. Well, our window actually. Now, Chrome itself gives this error where it'll say the download may be dangerous, and this is simply because the downloads are created on the fly. Let's see if Firefox does the same thing. No, Firefox will in essence just simply deliver the file to you directly. So we can use either one, it's irrelevant. Let's just simply open this and let's save the HTML so we can actually test it. Now, where you save the export folder is up to you. I'm just doing this simply so we can test the output itself really quickly. So you'll see here that this is what we created, download project file. So this is a single text element on the screen based on our actual code where we just simply added one layer to the document map. So this is in essence hello world, and this is just a basic way to get started. So let's take a look at some more advanced things that we can do with the API and also additional layers that we can create. So let's go to example 4 where we're working with layers. Let's take a look at the code really quick. So here we have a few different type of layers that we're adding. We're adding a text layer. We're adding a circle and we're giving it a shape of about 100 pixels. We're changing the fill color. Now, the code itself, I'm going to review this in a little bit more detail afterwards, but I'm just simply skimming through it just so you can see what it'll create. We're adding a rectangle and we're adding an image. So we're adding 4 different layers, and this supports a raw HTML, a raw URL, so you can add any image path, whether it's local or external, and the API will actually add that to the output as it's going. So we're going to use the export class again just so we can simply test this right away, and then I'm going to review this class. This will basically empower you to begin working right away with the API. So let's go ahead and let's actually test this in the browser. So again, we simply keep with Chrome. Firefox, you're not going to get this error. So we want to just drag the HTML5 folder there just so we can test it quickly. You can delete it afterwards. And we're going to take a look at what we actually created via the code. So you'll see here that we have 4 elements that we created. One was a text layer, one was a circle, one was a square or a rectangle in essence, and another was an image. So let's go back and let's look at the code. So you'll see what we did was we have a basic project info that we can add. We also have here a text layer. The size is 40 pixels, and we're adding it on the screen in essence at the top. We have a circle layer under it. This is 100 pixels, and we're adding it just under the text layer itself. You'll note by the Y positions. And we're changing the fill color of the circle. We also added a rectangle, and we just in essence positioned it below the circle itself, and we added a color to that. And then we also added an image and in essence set it so that the image itself was picking up a external image, and we also added that below the rectangle. So you'll see it was quick and easy layers that we set up. Now you should connect this to a graphical renderer that you have that you use. In essence, it could be Photoshop, it could be Illustrator, could be XD, could be GIMP, anything that allows you to add JavaScript programming to a plugin, etc. You can collect all the layer information and you can in essence create your own export. If you have support for your own graphical editor, you can also connect the API as well and go nuts. You can go wild with things that you create. So this is just a quick and simple example as to how you can integrate the API within your own project or actually just create a brand new one and export directly. There are a couple of options. You could in essence, like the first export we tested, let's just go back to Hello World, where you could collect the contents of the files yourself. You could save it on your server, you could deliver it, you could display it, it's completely up to you. Or you can use our new export class and just simply download the files in essence directly via the browser. So there are many options that you can use with the API. Please let us know any questions or comments that you have, also any suggestions or in essence anything you'd like added. Let us know. Give us a shout.